Hi, this is Janelle Posey Green, and you're listening to Bohemian Black Girl Podcast on Green Ink Radio. I'm grateful that you were able to take the time today to be able to do this podcast with me.
Yes, thank you. I'm honored to be a part of it. So thank you so much for this opportunity to share a little bit about sound healing and all this healing effect and how I got involved. So thank you.
Absolutely. I've been following you for a while now, about a little over a year, and I'm always impressed to see the different collaborations that you come up with. It's really exciting and inspiring and super impressive. Thank you for coming. So those of you who do not know, I am speaking with Kelvin Young, who is a CT sound healer. And Kelvin, if you don't mind, if you can actually just give a brief introduction of yourself.
Absolutely, yes. My name is Kelvin Young, and I'm a sound healer. I'm a holistic stress management instructor. I'm also an addiction recovery coach, and also a person that's in long-term recovery, which means how to use alcohol or any other drug to deal with my emotional distress since March 6, 2009. And I'm looking forward to sharing a little bit about my experience and with all of you today. So thank you. Yeah,
thank you so much for including us on your journey.
Yes.
So, you mentioned a little snippet about you started with this as a modality to help with your own personal recovery.
That's
right. Is that what actually inspired you to become a sound healer?
Absolutely, yes. After, many years of battling with depression, anxiety, and drug addiction, I found freedom from alcohol, marijuana, cocaine, heroin, and prescription drugs like Oxycontin and Vicodins and Percocets, which are opioids. And I began my healing journey in a drug treatment program in prison. And it was within this prison program I learned about the transformative powers of sound healing, meditation, yoga, creative expressive arts like poetry and journaling. And, to be honest with you, I had a lot of misconceptions about yoga and meditation. I'll be quite frank. I thought yoga was for rich white women. And I thought, meditation,
a lot of people did.
Yeah. And I thought meditation was for like hippies or Buddhists, But I know the things I was doing prior to going to prison, it wasn't working for me no more. So I had to try something new. I had to try something different. And by stepping out of my comfort zone and utilizing sound healing and meditation, being in a very hostile and restrictive environment such as prison. But most importantly, I was able to understand the root causes of my experiences with addiction. And it's from my lived experience, I learned that it was the unhealed, unprocessed emotional pain, the trauma, the toxic chronic stress was at the root of my addiction. So I was reaching for something outside of myself to find a sense of relief from that distress. And I found it in alcohol and marijuana and cocaine and heroin and prescription opiates. And it worked for a while until it didn't work. And I got caught up in that very vicious cycle of addiction. But it was a very powerful learning experience for me while I was incarcerated. I learned so much about myself and the world and how I view myself. And, one of the many things I learned is that addiction is a human experience, not a human identity. Because behind the so-called addict, behind the so-called alcoholic, is a human being that experiences a significant amount of trauma, emotional distress, and toxic chronic stress, and looking for a sense of relief from that distress. And, we live in a culture and a society that conditions us to reach for something outside of ourselves. We're dealing with any type of pain, whether it's a physical pain or emotional pain. Growing up as a kid, if I had a headache or a toothache, whatever the case may be, I was taught, to reach for aspirins, or Tylenol.
Yeah.
And for me, I use a physical painkiller such as Oxycontin and Vicodins and Percocets and heroin to deal with emotional pain. And, like I said before, it worked for many, many years until it didn't work. I got caught up in that very vicious cycle of addiction. And I wasn't able to see that cycle I was in, but my loved ones, my family members, the people that truly cared about me was able to see that vicious cycle that I was in. But it took me going to prison to really see things from a different perspective. And it was the tools that I learned, the mind-body practices. Sound healing was a vehicle for me to go within and to really connect to the true essence of who I am, and to be able to really begin my healing process while behind bars. So it was a profound learning experience for me.
Wow, thank you so much for that. I have so many more questions, actually. First is, if you don't mind me asking, was that a Connecticut-based program? Because this is the first I've ever heard of them, allowing this type of healing modality to be in any type of incarceration system. Often I feel like when we think of incarceration, we think they hand you a Bible.
Right.
It's kind of cool that you had a completely different experience. And again, it's, for lack of a better word, kind of like very encouraging and sobering to know that maybe the system has a lot of problems, but apparently we're kind of getting somewhere if they're allowing these types of treatment modalities. And the second thing, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I totally agree. And I give it to Connecticut Department of Corrections, even the Connecticut Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services, which was a collaborative effort from both two state agencies, where they was able to allow these different modalities such as meditation and yoga. And my experience while incarcerated with the sound healing was I used to listen to ambient sounds on my headphones, music. And that was a transformative experience for me as well too. But just by learning meditation while I was incarcerated, then allowing sound to be my anchor, to keep me in the present moment, because for me it was difficult to practice meditation in the beginning because it has so many different racing thoughts, that the cluttered mind and just different what the Buddhists call the monkey mind, where, just different thoughts. And it was hard for me just to just be and sit with my thoughts and my emotions. And that was very difficult too, because, being incarcerated, dealing with a lot of, thinking about a lot of stuff that I experienced and how that made me feel, it was a very, very intense emotions came up for me. So it was a challenge and to really stay focused in my meditation practice. But once I incorporated sounds like ambient soundscapes, that really helped me to keep me anchored into the present moment and allow me to take my meditation practice even deeper. And
absolutely,
that was a form of meditation that I utilized, while I was incarcerated. And it was a very powerful experience. Yeah.
I'm glad that you had that experience, because we wouldn't have gotten that gift now that we have of you doing sound healing all over Connecticut and Massachusetts, because I saw that you do some out-of-state work as well. The other thing that I wanted to say to you based on your introduction was one of the things that you really spoke about is reaching for stuff outside of yourself, and that it, kind of as a society, blanketly, we kind of do that. Like, we're looking for a quick fix. We're looking for instant gratification. One of the reasons that I truly feel that we're having, now both of us are people of color.
Yes.
I'm sure you're shocked. It's pretty much everybody on my podcast, because I'm really trying to shed a light on different practitioners of color and modalities throughout the world, actually, on my podcast. Yes. But one of our innate cultural practices that we have, I feel like across the board, because I love cultural studies, is some of these things that we're now kind of regaining, I call like a second awareness to. Even some of the yoga practices, they've been practiced by our ancestors way back in the day for various reasons, from womb healing, for digestion, yoga, and not just that, even the sound practices like the African drum, and the different. I know it's not always called a maraca, but just right now I can't think of any other word. These things,
absolutely.
Our bodies are attuned to these different sounds and frequencies. So your first experience was with like a treatment mindset was when you were incarcerated. But I think that if you probably really look backwards, you probably always had some type of passion for that type of sound healing, because I feel like it's like a language that we all speak, but we don't even know we can speak it type of deal. True. That love for music and rhythms and sound. I love solfeggio frequencies. When people come to me as, to ask about like mindfulness or just, I don't know what to do. So then I'll introduce them to the frequencies. So that way they really don't have to do anything. They can just be in the moment and and let the rhythms do the work for them.
That's right.
Thank you for this. This is so cool that you're sharing part of your experience with us. So another question I have for you, I know that you fell in love with it because you were able to get the work done for you. But where did you start when you said, okay, I want to do this and I want to give this gift to other people and introduce this to other people and claim it as your own profession? So where did you start?
Yeah, I went to a couple places. Once I was released from prison and had an opportunity to experience sound healing with the crystal bowls and the gongs and Himalayan bowls for myself. And it was just a powerful experience. My daughter and my mother, she took me to a sound meditation, a sound healing session at a place that we go to in Connecticut. And the only word I was able to I just felt a sense of oneness with all that is, and the word that comes to my mind, what I felt, it was that love. I felt like love for others and the world, and a sense of oneness, the wholeness, the holiness that's in me and that's in each and every one of us. It was all connected, and that was a very just transformative experience for me. And, I really dove deep into different mind-body practices once I was released from prison. But then I had an opportunity to, work at different agencies and work with at a place called Toivo in Hartford, and have an opportunity to dive deep and learn different modalities of sound. And I went to the International Academy of Sound Healing down in New York.
Wow,
and
that's so
I was
cool.
able to really dive deep into sound therapy. And I went to another teacher, Paul Hubbert, and he's out of Austin, Texas, but he came to Hartford, Connecticut. He did a training, and that just took me to another level, because he worked particularly with crystal bowls. And my teacher Paul, he goes to ancient Kemet or Egypt every year, and he does crystal sound healing sessions within the temples.
Wow, I didn't know that existed.
And it's very, very magical. And there's a connection between crystal healing, sound, like you were saying, and Egypt.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of theories behind how the pyramids were built.
Yeah.
A lot of people believe that sound was used with that as well too. And so I had an opportunity to dive deep with him. And but for me, I believe I'm a student and a teacher, so I continue to learn and to grow and to share that with other people that come to my group and individual sessions. And I love the esoteric aspects to what I've learned, but I want to make sound healing more accessible for people, so people can understand it. Because if I get too esoteric on people, I may lose them, and they might shut down, and they want to experience sound. Because I had a lot of misconceptions myself about yoga and meditation and sound healing, all these modalities, and introducing it to other people, they might think it's woo-woo or whatever the case may be. And even working in communities of color, which I have a strong passion of bringing these different modalities to my community, to communities of color. There's a lot of misconceptions about it,
Yeah.
So I like to demystify, these practices, and in my culture, I grew up in a very religious family. So one of the things there was so much stigma associated with, psychotherapy. There's so much, misconceptions about holistic therapy, such as meditation and sound healing and yoga. They may think it's, it's woo-woo or even devil's work or whatever the case may be. So a lot of times in my culture and in my family, we kept everything inside kept it in the family, so to speak, without dealing with some
very
of the issues.
Common.
Yeah. Without dealing with some of the issues that we dealt with in our life. And, I never used the word trauma in my life, but I experienced a lot of traumatic things, but I didn't look at it as trauma. We never used the word trauma growing up in my household because, it's just what it is. You just deal with it and just suppress it or in my household, we took it to Jesus in prayer, you know what I mean? And just kept it in the family. But, it's having that desire to really bring these modalities and really make it accessible to all people in my community and beyond. And I gear it towards more in the mind-body practices of it, how it helps to relieve stress, how it helps to relieve muscle tension, physical pain, feelings of anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress, sleep issues, addictive behaviors. We all can relate to those different types of emotional physical distresses in our lives. And so we use these practices, these ancient practices that have been around for a very, very long time, and how do we incorporate it into the U.S., in our culture that we're living in our modern day society that we're living in, and how we make it more accessible for people to take care of themselves holistically, taking care of their mental health, taking care of their spiritual health, taking care of their physical, emotional health, taking care of all aspects of themselves that make us a whole human being. And when I gear towards that, people are more open to try these different modalities and really move past the misconceptions the beliefs they had about these different practices. And once they experience it for themselves, it's like, okay, wow, my stress levels are down. I'm feeling more balanced. I'm feeling more calm. I'm feeling less tense. This is something through these modalities, and this is how we incorporate it into our modern day way of living by just allowing people to experience it for themselves and sharing our own personal experience and how it helped us in our life, and making it more accessible for people of all walks of life, because it's not just for a certain group of people. I believe it's for all human beings for us to benefit these different modalities that really helps us in a holistic way.
Yes, definitely. Again, I love studying culture. I probably minored in culture in college, but didn't really, you know what I mean? But I took everything. I went nuts because I love history, and I love the interconnectedness that you can find within the different cultures. But if you look at different cultures, not just obviously in the African diaspora, you're going to find different elements, even like the harp and different things like that are different tools and musical instruments like that were used at one time to bring you decompression and release stress. They probably wouldn't have worded it that way, but that's pretty much what one of the reasons it was so popular. So it's really cool that you also find yourself as a healer saying that my goal is to introduce this as something that anyone can benefit from. It doesn't have to be, a wealthy person that lives in Beverly Hills or, it could be anyone. So I definitely respect that so much and love it.
Yes. In our modern day society, stress is at the root of all chronic health conditions. How do we address these high stress levels that people are in? And now, stress is not necessarily a bad thing. We need stress. We need a fight or flight response, in our lives. It helps us to flee from a dangerous situation or protect ourselves from one. But it seemed like our nervous system was designed for a world that no longer exists. So our ancestors, when we needed the stress response, we needed a fight or flight response. They needed it, to either, flee from a predator or a saber-toothed tiger coming at them, or to protect themselves from one. But nowadays, in the modern day society that we live in, that saber-toothed tiger is worrying about our bills. Our saber-toothed tiger is unhealthy
major corporations.
Yeah, major corporations. That saber-toothed tiger is sitting in traffic, dealing with traffic or dealing with
absolutely
in our life. So it's not necessarily a physical threat or perceived threat. A lot of the threat now we're dealing with is mental emotional. But regardless if it's a physical threat or a mental emotional threat, our body still responds the same way. Releasing those chemicals in our bodies, the stress hormones within our bodies, and elevate our stress levels. And chronic stress can truly wreak havoc on our health and well-being.
It sure does.
Yes. So once we learn how to relieve stress and to relax, it does wonders in our bodies. And when we're in a relaxed state, our bodies have a natural, innate ability to heal itself, and that's how we heal in a relaxed state. But in the society that we live in, we're constantly, on the go, so to speak. We seem like we're constantly on that hamster wheel of life.
I know. I think that it's gotten so much that people don't even. In fact, I really do know this. People don't realize how stressed they are. One of my favorite activities to do with people when they're coming to me for various reasons is, practice just kind of being, because, and then I ask them, what do you feel in your body? And first they ask that, they're looking at me like, oh, what do you mean? Like, what am I supposed to feel? You're not supposed to feel anything necessarily, but what do you feel? Where do you feel like, do you notice any tenseness or stress or tightness in any particular way? And I promise you, like 9 times out of 10, they'll say, I never noticed that. Like, and then like if I need to kind of guide them, I'll be like, just pay attention to your face or just pay attention to your shoulders. And then, they'll give me feedback. Like, I never noticed how I tighten my jaw, or I never noticed how I tighten my shoulders until you told me to just pay attention to that section of my body. It's almost like we're just on go, 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 that those things just become kind of what we feel like are part of us. I think everything that you're saying is 100% accurate. And I feel like we definitely always need to talk about this on a bigger scale, stress, and what it can do to us.
Absolutely, yes. And that's so true. People don't realize how stressed they are or what stress, what stress is. And that's why we, I host, different holistic stress management workshops and classes to allow people to identify their stress and to understand what stress is and the difference between, what we call good stress and bad stress, positive stress and negative stress, and how does it affect us, and a lot of times, when we're aggravated or frustrated or under a lot of pressure and stress, we're short-tempered, we do things and say things that we later regret, and, we're easily agitated, aggravated, and we don't realize that a lot of times, oftentimes we don't realize that stress.
Yeah, it's compounded stress when you have a short fuse. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I also think that sometimes people have a misconception that in order to practice mindfulness, everything has to be perfect, like and quiet, or there's, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I have to be able to sit still for this amount of time and just do this. Like, it's almost like they don't understand that your life will always have something. Everyone's life will always have something. It's about building in the time and maximizing, even if it's 2 minutes a day, maximizing that time frame that you have, that you've allocated for reducing stress in your life.
Absolutely.
And sticking to it.
Yes. Absolutely. And even just being mindful of just being at peace, having that sense of inner peace in the middle of chaos. Mindfulness practices can help us to do that. So when we're dealing with challenging situations in our life or stressful situations in our life or different things that may come up, in our lives, we still could sit and be at peace and to really respond to the situation instead of emotionally reacting to that. Because, again,
Absolutely.
when we emotionally react, we could tend to do things and say things that we later regret. When our temper is short, and we're quick to emotionally react to different situations that frustrates us or stresses us out. So just being mindful of that, or just being mindful how our thought patterns, what's going through our head and really our bodies, because we're so disconnected to our bodies, and it seems like we live in from the neck up, and so disconnected from the neck down.
It's so funny. The way you say that, I like that.
From our bodies,
How do we connect ourselves again?
Yes, to feel whole. And, when there's a disconnect within ourselves, it's hard for us to connect with other people that's in our lives, and it's hard to connect to Mother Earth or to the planet and how we how we treat the planet.
Yeah, man, I could talk about that all day. Serious. So my next question for you is, we didn't really define sound healing. Unfortunately, I think it's probably a good idea that we do, because even though I think we've given clues and ideas, and we're peers, so you and I know what we're talking about.
Right.
But for the general population, I think it might be a great idea. If you don't mind, how do you define sound healing?
To me, and how I was taught, the sound healing is the intentional use of sound to create an environment which becomes the catalyst for healing in the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, as well as the physical aspects of our beings. So therefore, using sounds with our intention, the intention use of sounds, so really, one of my teachers also taught me that intention plus frequency equals healing. So it's so important that we are mindful of our intent when we use sound as well too, whether we're the practitioner or the participant. What do we like to get out of this sound experience? So when I'm playing the bowls, I'm playing the different healing tools that I utilize, I have a very strong intent for healing, transformation, and for relaxation for the participant. So therefore, the sound that I use, it helps to create that environment, that relaxing environment, that calming environment where healing can take place. And like I mentioned earlier, when we're in a relaxed state, our bodies have a natural, innate ability to heal itself. But it's all about unplugging from the matrix of life, so to speak, and taking that time out to simply just be. A lot of times people think it's a waste of time, just sitting here and being in silence or sitting with yourself. But it's so healing, even when we're sleeping. Yes. When we're sleeping, that's when our bodies have the opportunity to self-repair, to heal itself.
Absolutely.
And taking that time out to just be and be relaxed, that's when we heal. So when I intentionally use the sounds from the different tools that I utilize, I'm creating an atmosphere of relaxation, an atmosphere of rejuvenation, so people can really connect to that sense of calmness and inner peace that's inside of themselves, especially living in the Western world with our fast-paced modern-day society. So, yes, I truly do believe that sound healing is the intentional use of sound to create an environment which becomes the catalyst for our healing in the mental, emotional, spiritual, as well as physical aspects of our beings.
That's amazing. I loved your definition. It was seriously perfect.
Thank you.
I couldn't have defined it better myself. I'm a huge advocate for sound healing. I do it on a smaller scale. I teach my clients. My goals are always to teach them to be self-sufficient. So I'm constantly giving them different tools and tips they can take at home. things like that. And one of them is definitely sound healing and the different approaches to sound healing. So let's maybe talk about the tools that people can use. Like, of course, they can do the crystal bowls. There's the Tibetan ones. There's, I mean, if you don't want to do the ones with the bowls, there's singing. We talked about drumming. Is there anyone else? Any others that you wanted to mention? Tuning forks. I have some tuning forks that I use sometimes. I love tuning forks. Just yeah.
The gong.
What are some others?
The gong is a very powerful healing.
I could imagine that would be.
Yeah. You know, you did mention the drums, but I used also the chimes. The pan flute, you know, the harp. There's so many different healing instruments that we can utilize. That's been utilized for healing for a very long time. But I believe the most powerful instrument that we have is our voice. You know,
yes.
So like you said, like singing, that has a healing effect. Humming has a healing effect.
It sure does.
Yes. Has a healing effect to our body. So even, you know, saying the tone Om, that has a healing effect within our body. So there's so many different tools that we can utilize, but we can utilize one of the most powerful tools that we have is our voice, and that can really help us to bring us to a place of calmness and relaxation and inner peace in a very quick way.
Do you have a favorite frequency or a couple of different tunes that you particularly like? Obviously, the Tibetan from the crystal bowls.
Yeah, the crystal bowls. Yeah, I enjoy working with the crystal bowls the most, and the drum. And depending on where I'm at and a person that I'm working with, the chimes is very, very relaxing. It's almost angelic when I work with the chimes, very powerful. And even the Tibetan bowls, the singing bowls,
I have those.
Very powerful. Yeah, I did a sound healing session last night in West Hartford, Connecticut, and it was a group session, and one of the participants there was a child that was on the spectrum. That had autism.
That's amazing.
And you know, he was little. You know, he was making different sounds and being anxious before the sound healing started. But once I started playing the metal bowls, the Himalayan Tibetan bowls, just to see his face, you know, it just really just like it caught his attention where he was just silent, and his eyes was like open, his mouth was open. He was just like, you know, intuitively, I can hear him say, like,
you could see him connecting.
That sound, you know, that sound is like so relaxed and so soothing. He was like trying to figure out what that sound was and how that sound. His face was just like a smile, like he was amazed, you know. So I walked over towards him and I started playing it, you know, behind him, so he could really just take in the vibrations and the sounds.
That's
and
so cool.
From the bowls, and it was just an amazing experience, and just to see the expression on his father's face, you know, when I was playing it, just to see how his son was responding to sound. It really was amazing.
I actually love that you brought that up, and I completely didn't even think to talk about that. My son is actually on the spectrum too. He's 3, and I have a 9-year-old and a 3-year-old. So I have a 9-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old son, and I sleep train them to go to sleep to the solfeggio frequencies. So Gabby was talking about it, like she calls it lullaby sleep because that's the only thing I knew to call it when she was like 1. You know what I mean? For kid. And my style, the same thing. It is so hilarious. Actually, the other day, about a week ago, my husband, literally a week ago today, because it's Sunday, my husband was away at a football game with his brothers. He was watching the game with his brothers. And my son, sometimes he gets it, like into these meltdowns that kids on the spectrum do sometimes. And, you know, I was kind of getting frustrated. I was getting tired. The goal was to get him in the bed.
Right.
He wanted to go jump. And jumping, he was fixated on the jumping. He wanted to jump. It's not time to jump. It's time to get in the bed. So literally I had, done all like the whole parenting moves with the, counting it down and the, waiting him out and all the things, even putting my, I try to take my therapist hat off because he's my baby, not my client. But then finally I was like, you know what? I literally put on YouTube and I put on one of the solfeggio, because there's billions on YouTube, but this one was specifically for inducing relaxing sleep. And Gabby literally went into like her little coma-like state because it's, they're so used to hearing that sound now, and just their brain instantly just releases everything. And Marcel, same thing. Seriously, about 45 seconds, he was snoring. Snoring. It was hilarious. So I texted my husband. I wish I could show you the text. I was like, I just put on the solfeggio frequencies and he's snoring. And Tamar went, so, yes, I love that you brought that up with the young man on the autism spectrum, because you're right. Yeah. For so many different people from, all walks of life. Yes,
that's so true. It's so true, So it's sound is just so powerful, and, our bodies is made up of over 70% water, and, the sounds and the frequencies that is emitted from the different tools that we utilize is just a great conductor. And how it goes through our bodies and how you can really feel it in a cellular level,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
And there's a saying, a lot of our issues live in our tissues, so a lot of the emotions, that we suppressed in our life, a lot of the trauma that we experience in our life, it's in our bodies, it's in our muscles, in our tissues. Our cells have memory, and our body keeps score of all the different experiences that we go through in our life, and sound. The frequency, the vibration from the different tools that we utilize, it helps to release a lot of that trauma, a lot of those uncomfortable emotions that we suppress in our body. It helps to release it. And I believe it's so important for us to feel before we heal. In sound healing, we have opportunity to do just that. To feel all of raw human emotion, whether it's love, peace, joy, happiness, or it could be grief, sadness, despair, and all the emotions in between. In between that, allow us to really connect with that on a very deep level.
Yeah, I'm definitely a big fan of sound anything. I feel like that's one of my, like I was telling you earlier, like one of my own languages that I just I need for relaxation or even happiness. Like I'm super happy. I want to hear certain sounds, I'm tired, or if I'm cleaning, I have a cleaning playlist and it sounds very different than my working out or if I'm trying to go to sleep playlist. So I agree with everything you just said. The one thing I want to bring up that we kind of started a little bit where you mentioned the child on the autism spectrum benefiting from sound healing. Is there any other population of people that you think would be, would benefit from sound healing? I know we said blanketly everyone, but just, specific.
Particularly veterans that's dealing with post-traumatic stress. That really helps. Sound really helps with PTSD. People that's dealing with addictions. Addiction issues or seeking recovery. Chronic stress is at the roots of with all chronic health conditions, but it's also one of the main contributors to setbacks and relapses as well too. So having modalities that can help us to relieve stress, and how studies have shown that sound therapy helps to reduce stress levels. That's a very powerful tool for people that's in or seeking recovery or dealing with addiction issues. And it's just people that deal with any types of emotional stresses such as anxiety or depression, any sleep disorders that people may have. It's a great tool that we can utilize for that as well too. And one of my passions as a person that's in long-term recovery from alcohol and other drugs is to really bring this to the addiction community, to addiction recovery community, and treatment. And I had an opportunity to go back to the prisons here in Connecticut and offer sound therapy to the gentleman that's incarcerated in prison. And and I also have opportunity to go to Yale University and then bring this to them as well too. It's like from the jail to Yale. So everyone can truly benefit from these from this modality of sound for healing.
That's so cool. I think that it's going to be very important that you continue on this path because you just really seem to be so passionate about this particular form of healing, and we need it. We need it. I feel like across the board, it doesn't matter where you are or who you are. I think that it's going to be important that we have access to these types of therapies. So I just want to tell you for sure, thank you that you're doing so this. Much. And
thank you.
I'm excited that you, I see you in the wellness professionals all the time. So I get excited every time I see another one. Like, hey, and I give out your stuff to my clients. I tell them, I'm like, hey, I know this is a little bit of a drive, but, I'm sure you would benefit from it. I think it's right up your alley because a lot of people come see me are not necessarily traditionalists with therapy.
Right.
They are looking for alternative approaches, and I'm very open-minded when it comes to therapy.
I love it.
So I think it's awesome what you're doing. How can people reconnect with you if they want to come to see your or just be involved in what you're doing in a session? How can people reconnect with you?
Absolutely. People can go to my website at kelvinyoung.com. And, up there is a list of my upcoming group sound healing sessions, but it also has private sound healing sessions as well, too. And, I do in-home visits as well, too. So I do in-home.
Oh, wow. That's so cool.
Yeah. And a lot of people, particularly women, they get together and having what they call a ladies' night out or something like that, where they get together, get some food, and instead of just partying and drinking, they're looking for healthier alternatives where they're looking to do a sound healing session and they really have.
That's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, work on their health and well-being, and it's really have an opportunity to connect with their friends on a deeper, intimate level with health and wellness, because health is wealth, and really honoring ourselves and taking care of ourselves is so important. It's good to have $1 million in your bank account when you have poor health, so it's like, okay, you want to, have all this money, but you're not enjoying yourself because you're in poor health, so health is true. It's a true wealth, and really taking care of ourselves, taking care of our well-being, because I have reason to believe that there's systems at play. There's systems at play, particularly in the United States, that want to keep us obese, addicted.
For real.
Yeah. And so therefore, it's so important that we take personal responsibility for our health and well-being. Nobody knows my body better than I do. And nobody knows other people's body better than they do. And it's so awesome that we have professional supports such as yourself and other clinicians and therapists and medical doctors and psychiatrists to support us on our journey. And it's great to have, our natural supports like our loved ones and family and friends, and even community supports from, 12-step communities or church or different places. But it's so important that we utilize these supports to really help us to navigate on our healing journey. And it is a journey, but it's so important that we take personal responsibility for it and doing different activities such as yoga, such as sound healing, such as meditation, such as talk therapy, these different modalities to take care of ourselves, because I truly do believe that self-care is self-love. It's self-love and self-care. And when we do the things to honor and nurture ourselves mentally, emotionally, spiritually, as well as physically, is a true act of self-love. And when we have the time to relieve stress and find inner peace and balance, we can rationally respond to situations instead of emotionally reacting to them and doing something or saying something that we later regret. When we're less stressed, the more relaxed, we think clearly, make better decisions and choices that resonate with our greater good. We're able to strengthen our immune system, decrease our heart rate and blood pressure, gain more mental clarity and insight. We're able to tap into that love, the peace, the compassion, the joy, the happiness that dwells inside of each and every one of us. And all we need to do is take the time out to simply just be. Knowing that inner peace, unconditional love, I believe that's our natural state of being. And listen to sound and allowing ourselves to just be in the present moment. It can allow us to connect to all of that.
It's so beautiful. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I look forward. I really would love to see you on this side of the state. So it's looking like we're going to have some type of collaboration in our
future. Let's do it. Yes.
I am so up for this. Like, we need this. We need this on the side of the state. Southeastern Connecticut, at times it can feel like a wellness desert.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's no shade. I just feel like we don't have as many things on this side of the state as like Hartford or New Haven or other places that are kind of centrally relocated. So I would love. We got to do this.
I'll be honored. I really will be honored.
And figure something out, because we got to get you down here.
Yes, I love it. Let's do it.
We're gonna. We're speaking it into existence. It's already gonna happen. So,
there you go. That's what I'm talking about.
Thank you. I enjoyed this conversation. And if you guys want to connect with him, please look out for his website. I'm gonna put everything in the show notes. And I will talk to you later. Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you.